Good morning and welcome to the Village of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Friday, February 14th. We have the minutes from January 10th, 2025. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have 4 determinations today, and the entire files are available at Village Hall. In the application of Gregory L. Wilson and Lisa C. Wilson, 30th Circle, Suffolk County Tax Map number 301-3-7-10, for area variance to construct a pool house and to legalize coverage is granted. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Gabby, can you poll the board, please?
Mr. McGurk?
Yes?
Mr. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mr. Darko?
Yes.
In the application of 207 CHR LLC, 207 Cove Hollow Road, Suffolk County Tax Map number 301-7-6-6.7 for area variance to convert a detached garage to an accessory dwelling unit is granted. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Gabby, can you poll the board, please?
Mr. McGurk?
Yes?
Mr. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mr. Darko?
Yes.
In the application of Lloyd Macklow 2022 Trust and Barbara Macklow 2022 Trust, 6 Borden Lane, Suffolk County Tax Map number 301-8-15-3 for area variance to construct additions to a residence that exceeds allowable gross floor area is granted. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Gabby, please poll the board.
Mr. McGurk?
Yes.
Mr. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzsimons? Yes.
And the last one for today, in the application of Heather Lawless, 87 Buell Lane, Suffolk County Tax Map number 301-8-2-9 for area variance to legalize coverage is granted. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Gabby, can you pull the board, please?
Mr. McGurk?
Yes?
Mr. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzsimons? Yes.
Okay, and we do have one adjournment today, Guildhall of East Hampton, 158 Main Street. And we're on the continuing hearings of the day for Ira and Heather Shapiro. And Andy, can I just have Billy come up and just make a comment on the Rayner Group's memo that they sent the village, and then just make sure everything's good there, and then I think we'll probably close the hearing.
Okay, well, we submitted the change in the freeboard as requested by Jim, and we have, as I said, we have the report of Rayner, civil engineer, approving, sort of signing off on the project, if you want.
Okay, Billy, just make a quick comment for the record. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board. Billy Hajak for the village. Yeah, repeating what Andy said, they lowered the building by 1 foot, so the overall height is reduced by 1 foot. And Vin Gaudiello of the Rayner Group reviewed and signed off on their plan for removing water for the installation of the IA treatment tank.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any comments in the audience?
I'd just like to say thank you to the applicant for taking our request and acting on it. Appreciate it.
So motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So we have new hearings of the day, and you'll tell who's sitting on these hearings? Okay.
So for the first hearing, Sky's Limit LLC, we have Mr. McGurk, Mr. McMullen, Mr. Rose, Ms. Fitzsimons, and Mr. Carmelli. Application of Sky is the Limit LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map number 301-7-2-10 for an area variance from Chapter 278 zoning to legalize coverage and to modify a prior zoning board of appeals determination. A 366 square foot variance is requested from Section 278 3A 9A to permit 8,399 square feet of coverage, where the maximum permitted coverage is 8,033 square feet. The request is submitted to eliminate a condition imposed by the zoning board in determination of Ace M. Kenmore, adopted May 8th, 2015, that restricted use of the finished third floor to storage purposes only. This request seeks to use the finished third floor for habitable space. The subject property is 40,167 square feet in area and is located at 152 Montauk Highway in the Residence District R80. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with SECRA.
Is the applicant present?
Good morning. My name is Thomas Crouch, attorney at Wayland Filer, representing the applicant, Sky is the Limit LLC, which is Geraldine and Tyler Lucas. Geraldine Lucas is here today. As stated in the notice, we have two pretty simple requests. The first is to modify the 2015 approval that stated that the finished third story was only able to be used for storage purposes only. My clients bought the property a few years later. The space is there. They would like to use it. There are no changes necessary to the structure except for a sprinkler system for fire safety. The condition is, a little vague and probably difficult to enforce. I submitted photos of and the floor plan of the space, so you can see that it's readily accessible. It's access through a door in the second floor hallway. There's no pull down stairs or anything, and it's part of the house. As far as the coverage variance, my clients added some decking in a shed after purchasing the property in 2019. The allowable coverage was 8,525 square feet and is now 8,033 square feet due to a code change a few years ago. So our current coverage is 8,399. So basically that would have been legal under the old standard. It's slightly over the new code standard. So we're just asking the board to legalize that coverage. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and my client is here as well.
Thank you. Board members?
When was the house built?
Who's the house built? I'm not certain. I'd have to check. The improvements that created the third story were in 2007. There's a major renovation in 2007 that created the current structure.
I understand, I saw that, but I'm just curious when the house was built, whether the third story was prior to the restriction on third stories or subsequent.
I believe the third story was part of the 2007 renovation, and that there wasn't a third story before that.
That's right, that's the question. So it was a converted attic as part of the
they raised the roof.
Right.
Eliminated walls and raised the roof in 2007.
Yeah, I think the house has been a pretty old house. They redid right around that time.
Like to get to the record when the house was built.
Okay.
But this attic space is not conversion, it's creation, right? It's not a pre-existing attic that they converted and created the space.
Right. That's my understanding. It's it's been finished space since the 2015, at least before the 2015 approval.
I understood, trying to understand and just follow on Shahab's question as well, which is what was constructed, what was renovated, just the sequence of events that led to the creation of the space. I understand the finishing of the space. This is a question going to then the use of the space, but I understand just as part of the deliberations what the actual history of the structure is.
So anybody else have any questions at the moment? Let's keep this open. If you can give us a little timeline on it.
Okay.
How it evolved, I think that would help the board.
Okay.
Move on the decision. We'll keep it open till the next meeting.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Abby?
So for 134 Main Street, we have sitting today, Mr. McGurk, Mr. McMullen, Mr. Rose, Ms. Fitzsimons, and Mr. Darko. Application of 134 Main Street, EH LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-9-1-15 for area variances from Chapter 278 zoning to construct an accessory building. A 322.6 square foot variance is requested from Section 278-3D1 to permit construction of a 572.6 square foot accessory building greenhouse, where the maximum permitted size for an accessory building is 250 square feet. A 1.3 foot variance is requested from Section 278-3D6 to permit an accessory building / greenhouse with a height of 15.36 feet, where the maximum permitted height for an accessory building is 14 feet. Subject property is 70,580 square feet in area and is located at 134 Main Street in Residence District R80, the Main Street Historic District. This project requires approval of the Design Review Board and is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with SECRA.
Morning.
For the applicant, Charles J. Collins, 158 Cedar Street, East Hampton, New York. The applicant is 134 Main Street EH LLC, but the people behind that are Daniel Palladino and Amy Sherman Palladino. They're the owners of the adjacent property at 132 Main Street. And they purchased this property in June of 2023 and immediately started a plan to restore and bring this property back to the, to be a focal point of the Main Street Historic District. They did a whole exterior re-siding, re-roof, removed some non-historic features like aluminum gutters and put on copper gutters and new shutters, and took out some landscaping to make it, to really showcase the house. And then they also took, part of the restoration process was to, they removed a swimming pool patio. They demolished an existing 865 square foot garage that I think had an illegal apartment on the second floor of it. Got rid of that, built a smaller 505 square foot garage. Then they're adding an outdoor water feature in the backyard with a maze garden. It's all shown on the landscape plan. And then the last piece of their plan is to erect this 576 square foot antique greenhouse that they procured from, the designer was able to find. It was actually built on a property in Massachusetts, right outside Boston, in Newton, Massachusetts, it was called the Charles Riley House in Newton. It's a property on the National Historic Register of Historic Places. So it was torn down at one point and someone salvaged it. They were able to find this and they want to bring that here and erect it. And that is kind of the reason why you need the variances, because this thing was built it was originally designed by the Pearson U-Bar Company, which is a company from the early 1900s. I can't find them. I don't think they exist any longer. So it's not like you're gonna be able to find replacement parts to alter this structure. And that is why the height needs to be the height, because it would be very difficult to lower that and still function the way it was designed originally. And the area variance is, the property is allowed to have 1,612 square feet of GFA for accessory structures. The proposed with this greenhouse would be 1,078. So we're still well under the allowed accessory GFA. As also with coverage, when they purchased the property, the coverage of the property started at 7,183 square feet. With the greenhouse, it'll be down to 4,647 square feet, a reduction of 2,536. So the whole property is coming down in terms of coverage. It's also the greenhouse meets accessory setbacks and just barely misses principal setbacks. It's about 33.3 feet from the property line, where 34 would be required on a lot of this size. So, I think it's a pretty benign application for this property, for the size of this property. It's also, the landscape plan shows a very extensive screening of the whole lot. You won't be able to see this from Main Street or other properties.
And this is going to operate as a greenhouse?
Yes, it'd be a greenhouse. It will not be used for living. The property already actually has an accessory cottage on the property, so would be no need to have another dwelling unit. It would be just used to grow plants, possibly some citrus in the winter months for the homeowner.
If we covenant as a greenhouse, they would be accepting of that?
Yes.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions? Mr. Rose?
I just want to say, I think the applicants made a remarkable commitment to this property, and it's a real asset to the village.
Thank you. They
Yeah,
will appreciate that. Thank you. They really, if you've seen 132 also, they really like to showcase the Main Street Historic District,
So we do have two letters in the file. We have one opposing it, and we have one both adjacent to the neighbors, and one is for it. But I believe the landscape plan will take care of one of the neighbors' issues here. Mr. Osborne, Mrs. Osborne, you want to say anything?
Yeah.
attorneys.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Robert Osborne. I live at 136 Main Street in East Hampton, which is immediately adjacent to the rear end of the property that's under review. The normal standards for a variance of this nature, I think, haven't been addressed in any way. I haven't heard anything other than the fact that the owners found an antique, meaning an existing glass greenhouse somewhere in the country that they want to move onto their property. I don't think that has much to do with what the village allows as accessory structures. I think that the argument that might be made about this would be to the village board, because it may be that there are other kinds of accessory structures besides pool houses that ought to be allowed to be more than 250 square feet, but if so, it should be throughout the village. There isn't any reason why a big one and a slightly higher one should go on this property any more than anywhere else. And it will be visible, not from my house because it's blocked by our garage, but every time I come up my driveway, I'm going to be seeing it through the foliage that's there. Their heavy foliage doesn't really start until a little bit past this point, which is just really impenetrable. I think it's holly. Anyway, it's about 10 feet high, and it looks like a solid wall. But that's really my objection. It's more a matter of principle than it is that it's going to be any skin off my nose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne.
Just one question, sir. Sir, if I can ask a question?
Mr. Osborne, Mr. Rose would like,
I'm sorry.
he'd like to ask
Is
you.
there any,
Didn't mean to go AWOL.
Yes, I wanted to be clear I understood. Is there any kind of landscaping impact request that you're suggesting? So in addition to the principle about the
Is there landscaping?
is there you talked about the aesthetics in terms of the view as you approach. Is there a screening option that you would find?
No.
Because there's an extensive.
I just think that 100% variances have to have some more compelling reason than the fact that I found a structure somewhere in this country that I can move onto the premises. Antique, well, greenhouses, I don't know. Nobody in the public is ever going to see it, because you drive by, you can't see a thing in the back of the house there. The general public is never going to know it's there. So its antique value is what? I don't know.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Any board members have any other questions? Anybody in the audience have any questions? Comments? Okay. Motion to close the hearing?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's all the business we have today, so a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.
Thank you.